Hey there, welcome to CodeChef. Today we are going to be discussing the project JSON Data Processor. This project is part of our course Python projects for beginners, where we have 11 different Python projects from which beginners can get familiar with Python. So this project provides functionalities for loading, viewing, searching and filtering to the JSON file. We can even delete data from the JSON file. So for this particular project, we have taken a student's JSON file as an example, which already contains some data with which we are going to perform our functions. So let me just view all student records once. So yeah, let me just search a student by ID, and if I give ID as, let's say, 2, so I'm going to get information of the student for the ID 2. So let's say I want to filter the JSON file for students with GPA over 9. Let me just give 3, and then I want to filter by CGPA, and it should be greater than, and value will be 9. So we have only one student called Sanya Gupta who has the CGPA above 9.1. So let's look at the flow of this particular project, or like an architecture which you're going to follow. So first we're going to accept user input, and we're going to let the user choose what they want to do, whether they want to view the record or they want to filter through it. And if the user wants to view the student records, we're going to display each and every record present in the JSON file, and we should give an option for the users to search through the JSON file. And if the user finds the student they're looking for, we should display the student info, or else we should return an error message. And if user wants to filter, we're going to ask whether they want to filter through either CGPA or age, and then we're going to give an option, as we saw previously, as to whether they want it to be greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and then finally we're going to give a value by which we're going to filter through. And if the user wants to delete a student, we're going to ask the user to give an ID of the student who they want to delete, and if it's found, we're going to delete it, or else once again we're going to print out an error message. And the last option will be to exit the program. And the program should be an infinite loop, that is, it should keep continuing until the user wants to exit. So for the first subtask of the JSON Data Processor project, we're going to be loading the actual JSON file. So let us see how this works. So the objectives for this particular subtask is that we're going to open the JSON file, and then we're going to load the data present in the JSON file, and we're going to return it back to the main function. One thing to notice, we are going to open the JSON file in read-only mode, because here we are not doing any modification, we just want to display. So first we're going to import the JSON module, and we're going to give the file name over here so it's easier to reference. And then we have our load data function. So this particular line over here is used to open a file with a certain rule. That is, we can define with what rule we want to open the file. So we're going to open the file name, which is basically students.json. And we're going to open that file in read-only mode. That is, we can't add, edit or do anything else other than read it. And then we're going to import it as f, so it's easier to reference. And after loading, we're going to return json.loadf. So what this basically does is it basically converts the JSON into a list of dictionaries, and then it's going to return that back to the main function. So then we're going to return the json.loadf. So what does json.load basically do? So what it does is that it's going to convert the JSON file into a list, in which each element of the list will be a dictionary. That is basically a list of dictionaries. And then we're going to return that back to the main function. And here we have the user choice function, where it's a bunch of if-else choices, where based on the options given, the user will be redirected to the particular functions. For example, our first function is view student, so the user is going to be redirected to that function. Now in the main function, first we're going to run an infinite loop using while true, and then we're going to print out all the functionalities of this particular project. So dot strip over here is used to remove white spaces which might be trailing or reading the input. That is, let's say I give an input as A. So this is not the same as space A, or maybe not the same as A space. So what we need to do is we need to make sure to remove any white space which might be present before or after A. That is why we use dot strip over here. Now in the user choice function, we're going to pass the choice given by the user, and only if the choice is 5, which is exiting, we're going to break out of the loop. Let's just run this code once. So let me just give view all students, and right now it would have returned, but we haven't printed it out yet, so we can't view it. Let's just submit this code once and check if it's right. So we passed the test case. Let's move on to the next subtask.